What is up, you guys? Peter Carlo here, and today we're going to talk about liquidity. Liquidity is one of the most important things when it comes to investing in not only the stock market, but investing in general. Sometimes for me personally, I will actually take an investment where I can make less money, more specifically because I have liquidity. And that's just not, like I said before, in the stock market, but that's across the board in general. We're going to go over in this video liquid assets, non-liquid assets, what to look for as far as liquidity in the stock market, and what to look for as far as liquidity in the options market, which for me, the options market and slippage, which we're going to speak about in this video, and I'll probably do a whole video on slippage, is probably the most important thing when it comes to liquidity. And that's how a lot of people lose money without them even realizing that it's happening. So hit the like button, subscribe to this channel. Let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my face. So this way you guys, it's a lot easier for you to be able to see what I'm doing. Now, when it comes to liquidity, like we spoke about before, it's important to understand what liquidity is. And really, liquidity is just the ability to get in and out of an investment. And that's what's the most important. When it comes to the stock market, and more specifically, but in life in general, we have what are called opportunity costs. So when an opportunity arises, you, if you are liquid, could actually take advantage of it. So let's just say that you have a couple $100,000 and you have maybe $100,000 in the stock market, $100,000 in bonds, and $100,000 in real estate. And there's this piece of property across the street from your office. You love it. Every single day you walk by, you're like, man, I really wish I could own that property. And then you find out one day that unfortunately the owner of the property died and that his kids no longer want it. They don't want to take care of it. They're from out of the state, and they're going to get rid of this house for maybe $200,000. And the house right now is worth about $500,000. And you might think to yourself, why the hell would anybody do that? Why would they get rid of a house for half of the price of what it's worth? Because they're motivated. We're going to talk about motivated sellers, all of that in a different video. But when people are motivated to get rid of something, they don't care about how, what's the best price they could get, right? If you lived in Singapore and you had a relative that you didn't even really know that much, but they died, or you didn't see them that much, and they died in Seattle, Washington, you're not going to want to get rid of that house and spend 60, 70, 80 days putting it on the market if it's a good market or a bad market, dealing with agents, dealing with all of those things. If some guy comes in, he's willing to offer cash, he might be able to get the house for 50 cents on the dollar. That's a very I would say like vague example, and I've seen it happen plenty of times, but that is an opportunity cost. Now the same thing happens in the stock market, right? Let's look at, for instance, what happened last year with the S&P 500 during the peak of the pandemic. The S&P 500 absolutely sold off massively. The S&P 500 was at $340 and sold off, all the way down to $221. So that's taking nearly 30% off of the overall market. Now, let's say that you have a net worth of $1 million, and instead of being, having that sitting around in cash or sitting around investments that you could pull from to funnel more money in the market, you had it in a piece of real estate. You could not have taken advantage of that dip. And the first thing I want to talk about when we're looking at liquidity is going to be what assets are liquid. Now, this little diagram has most liquid, fairly liquid, and least liquid. And I don't believe that stocks and bonds are going to be, or stocks and ETFs are going to be fairly liquid. I would say that they're extremely liquid. But the most liquid assets you can have, which I don't even count cash as an asset, but they have it here, it's going to be cash. If you have cash, you can do whatever the hell you want with it. If you have physical cash, right now, I consider cash money in a broker account, money in a bank account that you could very quickly put to work. Now, if you have physical cash, you can do whatever you want with it. You can literally at any point take it out of a safe, take it out of a bank account, and go do whatever you want with it. Same with the bank account. CDs, I don't consider a CD liquid. They have it here, but I don't consider a CD liquid because you can't really pull the money out whenever you want without taking a huge hit. And treasuries, now fairly liquid. I would say that stocks and ETFs are very, very liquid. Now, if you have a 401k, it's not really liquid. If you have a broker account with like Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, that is very liquid because at any second I can sell my position. Look at the volume today on something like the S&P 500. I can go and sell my ETF on the S&P 500. I could go sell shares of Apple right this second, and there's always going to be someone there to buy it. Now, it might take me 2 or 3 days to take the money out of my broker account, but that is very, very liquid. Foreign currency, so Forex, as well. Foreign currency and Forex, I would say that's fairly liquid, and mutual funds. Now, things that are least liquid, cryptocurrency. Now, I don't really agree with this. I think cryptocurrency is fairly liquid, especially with the amount of volume that is happening right now. Real estate, this is the big one that is least liquid. When you have a piece of property, are you able to just go out and sell it? No, you're not. You can't go out and sell a property. Let's say you bought a property for $200,000 3 or 4 years ago, and the house is now worth $1 million. That's awesome. You have an $800,000 profit, but how quickly can you get access to that money? You might be able to do a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit, or you might just hear refining, so just refinancing your property. You might be able to do that, but you're still going to have to end up waiting 30, 40 days to do that potentially. So real estate is not liquid. This video is going to be focused more around mostly liquid things and more specifically stocks, while I'm going to do a video on non-liquid assets such as real estate. The other non-liquid asset that I want to actually talk about is going to be art and antiques. I'm going to make an entire video on art and antiques. This is one of those investments that I don't think a lot of people realize is an investment, but things like classic art, things like classic cars, things like Rolex watches. Watches are actually a really decent investment if you know what you're doing and if you're buying the right type of Rolexes. Most Rolexes, especially like Daytonas, they go up 10, 20, 30, 40% per year. Gold bricks, those types of things, they are not liquid because it's not that easy to sell it. So if I have a $40,000 Rolex, I could go to a crappy jewelry store down the street from me and sell it for maybe $10,000, $15,000. But who wants to do that? In order for me to find an appropriate buyer who wants to spend the money that I believe my watch is worth, on the internet does help, but it's going to take some time. If I have a classic car, like a 69 Mustang or something like that, I can't just go and sell it whenever I want. I have to find the buyer. I have to line them up. I have to show the car off. There's plenty of steps I have to take in order for that to happen. So therefore, that is not a liquid investment at all. Now, this is why I am heavily, heavily, heavily invested in the stock market. And this is why I basically have all of my net worth in the market and in trading. I just sold the only other piece of real estate that I own right now because the market is absolutely insane. I got a really good profit off of that property, and I will plan to buy more in the future. Now, I am going to be doing a video talking about 1031 exchanges and a video talking about real estate in general and buying real estate. I don't know if that's going to be on this channel or the other channel that I'm creating I spoke about earlier in the week. But I'm going to be talking about 1031s. I'm going to be talking about the Biden administration trying to get rid of them. I'm going to be talking about why you would invest in non-liquid assets in the future. So hit the like button and subscribe. But as far as the stock market, one of the best pros to the stock market is liquidity, right? I'm not one of those people who believes that you should be investing unless you really have a nice nest egg. Like for me to be trading or to be investing, I need at least 6 months of my income sitting in a savings account in a liquid account I can grab at any point, just in case something happens, in case a pandemic happens, in case I get in a car accident, in case something happens, I need to have that money sitting aside. But let's say that you're somebody who doesn't take my advice and you really want to start, investing and trading, and you got $5,000 that you can, trade or do whatever with. Well, it's pretty easy to go invest in the stock market because it's a non-liquid asset, and God forbid anything happen, you get fired from your job, you could liquidate your entire position in a single day, get that money out of your account, and go ahead and pay your bills or do whatever you need to do with it. That is one of the beautiful things about the stock market, is that your liquidity it's so easy to be liquid in the market, and that is a huge asset because, like we talked about before, opportunity costs. Now, I want to share a story with you guys very quickly, and then we're going to hop off. But one of the things that changed my life forever is really weird. I was living in this house at one point, and it was a beautiful house. These people were renting it out to us for $1,300 a month. And this house was massive. Like, it's right outside of Philadelphia. It's like 2,600 square feet. Easily could have rented it for $2,500, $2,600. And I was like living there. They didn't even check our background. So obviously it's something shicey. And I woke up the one day and I saw a red envelope against the door. And I said to myself, this is really weird. However, I'm going to open it up. It doesn't have anybody's name. It's kind of weird, but I'll open it up. And here I found out that the person who owned the property didn't pay their taxes for 8 years. and it was finally going to go to a tax lien sale. And I will do a video on tax lien sales in the future, but I found I was going to go to a tax lien sale. And so I looked it up. I was working with a lawyer, and I talked to the lawyer, and I was like, listen, like, this place is going up for a tax lien. I think the house is probably worth about $400,000. The tax lien is $75,000, which means that if I pay the tax lien at court, I'd have to go to court. I'd have to bid on a tax lien, just like, you know, any type of lien situation where you're going to bid on a property in court. I have to show up. I have to show up with the cash ready in hand, and I could bid for this probably against a bunch of banks. And I could probably get the house for $80,000 to $100,000, which means I'm making a massive profit. And this is what started getting the wheels spinning. So luckily, I didn't have all of my money tied up in real estate or tied up in precious metals or anything like that. I had all my money in the stock market. And so I thought to myself, like, screw it, I'm going to liquidate it. Now, at this time, I didn't have nearly as much money as I do now. At this time, I only had about 20 grand. But I thought to myself, if I can find 3 other guys who got 20, 30 grand, we can go up and do this. So I got my brother, I got my buddy DJ, and I got my grandfather, and I was like, yo, let's all put up $20-something thousand. Let's buy this property. Long story short, he had a blanket mortgage. I'll make a video if you don't know what that is. Essentially, it means that you're taking one mortgage for multiple properties. So they had a blanket mortgage, which was one mortgage for like 10 properties on like the 6-mile radius. And I would be responsible for a portion of it. So I didn't end up going through it. But it was the fact that I had money liquid that when this opportunity came my way, I was able to get the ball rolling, start reaching out to people, reaching out to other investors. And this all from this one instance, even though I ended up having to move, even though I didn't end up purchasing the house, I started getting into real estate. I started taking investing more seriously. I got 3 other investors, which I didn't invest with my grandfather, but I did invest with my other 2 buddies on a real estate property. And so it was all from this one opportunity to where if I didn't have any of that money liquid and that happened, I would have never even started doing any of the things I did. I would have never reached out to, you know, my brother or my buddy or start looking at other real estate properties. And from there, everything was amazing. It was great. And so opportunity cost is something that's extremely important. And when a lot of my mentees reach out to me, you know, last year when the market was crashing, they were like, what do I do? Do I sell? Do I re-enter at a better time? And one of the biggest things you have to think to yourself is your opportunity cost. If you know, that's one of the most important things. Now, I'm going to end up saving a video on talking about liquidity and slippage in the market because I'm going to be in Texas. I'm actually in Texas right now, like not physically. I'm shooting this 2 weeks prior, but I'm going to be doing an entire series talking about liquidity and non-liquid assets in the market and outside the market. So hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, guys. Thank you for all of the support. If you want to get access to every single trade that I take live, as soon as I take it, live stream with me and the team every single morning for the first hour of market open, get access to our 60-hour course library, as well as our private Discord, use the link below, use the code Academy90, guys. Thank you for all of your support, and I'll see you when I get back from Texas. Peace.